And hello, everyone. It is Tom. It is the new releases edition of FANzine Live here at FANzine Live. And today we are talking about a brand new zine called Recurring Nightmares. Also, How the Hernandez Brothers Saved Mr. X. I'm going to talk about this, but I've got to tell you another story to tell you this one. So let's put this aside for the moment. When I got rid of, or when I moved out and got out of the comics world, I only kept a few graphic novels. One of which, or I only kept them around, and one of which was on my bookshelf, The Return of Mr. X. Now, I never entirely understood Mr. X when I was a teenager. I didn't understand who any of the people were involved with it. But it was put out by Vortex Graphics, and they did some really nice looking stuff. And I always appreciated Mr. X for the fantastic graphic style that it had. And I discovered that just recently that it was Gilbert, Mario, and Jaime Hernandez. Have we heard those names before? Why, yes. Yes, we have. I have been reading Love and Rockets. This being the 11th issue of the collected editions. I'm slowly going through them. I've decided I'm going to pick them up on eBay on the cheap and read all these things because I just have heard that it's been fantastic. Love and Rockets is great. It's a tad confusing because you have a ton of characters that you have to keep straight. And the Hernandez brothers do not talk down to you. They do not write down to you. They make you play along. And so, yeah, it is a challenging adult book discussing many things, not the least of which is the Latino life basically in America, but it's the life of the Latino and all the different aspects of it as shown through the different characters that Jaime and Gilbert, and to a lesser degree Mario, that they do. I love this stuff, but I'm only up to book 11, and I believe there are 19 total books in those first 50 issues. So the collected editions often have a handful of covers. You see, they even have a cover gallery in the back. And so I've got a ways to go. I'm halfway through. So I'm looking online at my list of possible books to get. And I also keep tabs on things like Instagram and Facebook and the like. And a book came out that I saw that looked really interesting. And it was Reading Love and Rockets by a gentleman named Marc Sobel. Fantagraphics publishes it. This thing just came out. Not a cheap book, but basically, as they say here, Reading Love and Rockets offers a roadmap to the Hernandez brothers' glorious achievement, the influences that shaped it, the conversations that swirl around it. It's an indispensable critical companion to the series that defined alternative comics. I'm sure it is. However, I'm only up to issue 11 of these trades. I'm only halfway through. And I really thought it would be a good idea to read the whole thing by myself before I dove into this companion. The companion looks great. I'm really excited to take a look because Sobel clearly knows what he's doing. But I don't want to read this and have it taint my reading experience. So, as I said, I told you that to tell you this. We go back to Mr. X, which is drawn by the Hernandez brothers. And on social media, not too long ago, I learned that a certain Marc Sobel, who wrote Reading Love and Rockets, did a little bit of extra research. And he did the Mr. X story from the Hernandez brothers' perspective. Mr. X went on after the Hernandez brothers signed off, but basically the issues that are covered here so expertly by, it looks largely like Jaime, though I'm guessing that Mario and Gilbert, because they get cover credits, I'm guessing that they helped out as well. But they worked on Mr. X. And Sobel couldn't fit this appropriately into Reading Love and Rockets because it's not Love and Rockets, it's about Mr. X. And so Sobel created his own zine and he packaged it all together. It's really neat. Glorious gloss paper. This is as professional as they come. It's a glossy paper on the inside, full color illustrations. It's great. I mean, the thing is it's got a full bibliography. This is a professionally written piece. We got our footnotes. I mean, everything is fully documented. But yeah, it's the story of the Hernandez brothers on Mr. X. I was attracted to the Art Deco world, but I've been reading more and more, and I've had a chance to read Mr. X a while ago, and I thought it would be fun to check this out. They're talking about some of the different influences and how the Hernandez brothers got involved. Started with a gentleman named Paul Rivoche. And yeah, I was awed by the first issue of Love and Rockets. They had such a strong, unpolluted vision. And so it was Ken Stacy, who made that quote, who first suggested they approach the Hernandez brothers to help out and work on Love and Rockets, or excuse me, work on Mr. X. So the whole story's here. You can see a little bit of Vortex Comics and some of the work that the Hernandez brothers did there. But this is really cool. And it talks about how things kind of fell off. It says, for example, the story first broke in Comics Journal 101 back in '85 in a scathing article by Gary Groth entitled Hernandez Brothers Leave Mr. X Over Payment Dispute. Gary Groth, of course, is publisher of Fantagraphics, who publishes Love and Rockets, so I'm sure he had no problem throwing logs on the fire in a Mr. X dispute, which was a company that he did not have. But anyway, it's all there. One thing I do want to mention is it says, nowhere in his career is Jaime's development more apparent than 83-84, the period where he drew both Mr. X and Love and Rockets. Las Mujeres Perdidas, his longest mechanic story, marked a pivotal moment where he not only eschewed the science fiction fantasy to focus on his locus characters, he also refined his drawing style. While it appeared to be simplifying, it was in fact evolving into a more economical and sophisticated style. This change was in part a byproduct of his adapting his art for color. To accommodate Rivoche, the artist's colors, he eliminated the fine details, so you can see the difference between the two. Like hatching and feathering. My approach to Mr. X is not much different than my approach to anything else, he explained at the time, except I'm using less shading because it's going to be colored. Rivoche felt that Jaime's art is very good for a colorist. Good, clean shapes. The design is strong, so the colors work cleanly, whereas they wouldn't if the art were more fussy. So you can see, done for black and white, done for color. Both in the car. Just kind of interesting. And that's it. Neat book. Really neat book. So I'll have some information on this, on how to order it. You have to order it directly from Marc himself. It's great. So highly recommended if you're interested in Mr. X or the Hernandez brothers. All right, that's it, everybody. Recurring Nightmares, how the Hernandez brothers saved Mr. X. Have a good one.